Hello everyone, welcome back to LaExcellence Bengaluru presents current issue of the day. Today we'll be discussing about new income tax bill that has been passed by Lok Sabha. We will understand what are the important provisions of this new income tax bill and how is it different from the old version of the new income tax bill, and also what is the significance of this new income tax bill and why there are certain criticisms. All these things will be discussed in today's episode, that is 176 of the CID series. Without any delay, we will start the discussion. So, in syllabus, it comes under GS2 Polity and Governance and also GS3 Economy. Okay? The context is Parliament on Tuesday, that is August 12, 2025, and this August 12 is also important because August 12 is celebrated as the World Elephant Day. World Elephant Day. So just for your knowledge, so this is like a daily dose of knowledge boosters. Passed a new income tax bill to replace the 6-decade-old Income Tax Act of 1961 that will come into force from April 1, 2026. Okay, first we will discuss the timeline of this bill. There have been very many criticisms about this bill, and it has to pass through Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, and now finally pass through Lok Sabha and is going to hand over to the president. Before that, the timeline is in 13th February 2025, the original Income Tax Bill 2025 was introduced in the Lok Sabha. Aim was to modernize and replace centuries old Income Tax Act of 1961. In February to July 2025, the bill was referred to a parliamentary select committee which was chaired by Jayant Panda for detailed scrutiny. Because whenever a very significant bill has been introduced in the parliament, it has to go through a detailed scrutiny, and this detailed scrutiny is done by a parliamentary committee. In this case, that committee was headed by Jayant Panda. Then fast forward to 8th August 2025, the original bill was withdrawn due to concerns over specific clauses related to deductions and property taxation. So next, on 11th August 2025, a revised version titled Income Tax Number 2 Bill 2025 was incorporating 285 recommendations from this select committee was introduced and passed by Lok Sabha. On 12th August 2025, Rajya Sabha passed the revised bill via voice vote, after which it was returned to Lok Sabha for final formalities. Then this passage sparked concerns as it occurred without any debate, drawing criticism about the lack of parliamentary discourse. Next, the effective date will be on April 1, 2026. So new law will come into force from the financial year 2026-27 starting on 1st April 2026. So this is the timeline. After lots of ups and downs, finally the act has been passed by Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Now it will go to President for final assent. When he gives a final assent, it comes into effect from April 1, 2026. Okay. So important provisions. Before the provisions, we have to understand the core principles of this new income tax bill. The new income tax bill works on the principle of simple. What is the simple? S stands for simplified. That is, collapsed multiple exemptions and deductions into a cleaner exemption-free structure. Fewer tax slabs and straightforward compliance process. Simplified compliance process. Next is inclusive, where it ensures fair taxation across various income groups while expanding the tax base. And then special focus on the middle class relief and rural economic integration, which has been the demand from middle class for a very long term of period. Next, modern, that is, aligns with global best practices and removes outdated provisions from the 1961 Act. Integrates tech-driven compliance, e-verification, and AI-assisted scrutiny. So it is modern in nature. And then P is predictable. Predictable with stable rates and clear timelines for implementation to reduce policy uncertainty for business and individuals. So it makes more predictability, and it helps in proper and planned investment by the business and the individuals. Next is L. L stands for low rate. It rationalizes tax rates to encourage investment and consumption while preventing tax evasion. And finally, E. What is this E? E is for effectiveness. It minimizes litigations through faceless assessment and faster dispute resolution. It streamlines TDS and TCS compliance. Okay, so this is what simple means: simplified, inclusive, modern, predictable, low rate, and effective tax law. A very important theme. And now we'll discuss important key points or important provisions of this new income tax number 2 bill. So the key points are: it resulted in structural simplification. Structural simplification in the sense the sections have been reduced from 819 in the original to 536. Chapters reduced from 47 to 23. And the word content were reduced from a whopping 5.12 lakh to just 2.59 lakh. But it increased more tables, that is from 18 to 57, and formulae from 6 to 46 for more clarity. So first is addressing the issue of simple. Now the new law is simpler and lesser compared to the old law. Okay. Next is digital and compliance reforms, which discusses about faceless assessments to reduce corruption or evasion, faster refunds allowed even after the deadline, and then prior notice mandatory before enforcement. So this addresses modern. Next is search and seizure powers. This has been the major point of contention between the ruling party and the opposition party. What is the search and seizure powers? That is, the tax official can now demand passwords and access codes for the electronic data, can override codes to access emails, chats, and social media. You might have seen many of the cases where IT raids happen into corrupt officials, where they are able to get into the house of the people and they do the search and seizure of the houses and only get hard copies of the tax evasion or money laundering, etc. has happened. However, most of the important database or data are stored in digital media. Okay, so in order to access information about the digital media or digital codes, etc., now the officials can have the power to break into those codes and ask for the passwords, which has been the point of contention because it raises issues with respect to privacy. Next is taxpayer benefits, that is 12 lakh basic exemption retained, clearer rules on house property income, pre-construction interest, and then NPS like treatment for unified pension scheme withdrawals. What it allows? It allows entire commuted lump sum pension under the specified schemes to be fully tax deductible. And finally, legislative context. Here, based on the select committee report, 285 suggestions, 32 major changes have been added, and it aims at simplified, reduced litigation, and more efficiency. So these are some of the important key features or the provisions of new income tax bill. Okay. Now we will have a comparative analysis between the old and the new one. The old and new one. So we discussed about the formula, and next the language and the structure. So initial was very complex and legal drafting, and now this is simplified and rationalized format. And search and seizures, in the initial one there was only access to physical and electronic records but no explicit provision for overriding passwords. In the new one, it has provided access to not only physical and electronic records but also overriding positions or overriding provision for overriding the passwords. Codes, passwords, and empowers officials to override access codes to emails, chats, and social media. With respect to powers in electronic search, dependent on the taxpayer's cooperation, that the taxpayer has to cooperate with respect to electronic search. However, officials can forcibly bypass security if the taxpayer refuses, which many considers to be arbitrary. Next is with respect to basis of law. It was built over decades of amendments. It is fresh drafting incorporating select committee recommendations. Next is privacy concerns, that fewer direct conflicts with respect to privacy due to absence of explicit overriding powers. This potential conflict with respect to right to privacy, which was upheld as a fundamental right under the put to submit judgment under the part of Article 21 of Indian Constitution. Next is legislative process, amended through periodic finance acts. Here it was introduced in February 25, and there was a select committee under the head of Baijayant Panda, and now it has been passed by both houses. This is the comparative analysis between old and new provisions. Next, the criticisms and the concerns of new income tax act is, first is with respect to privacy risks. That is, granting authorities the sweeping powers with respect to digital access raises privacy and civil liberty concerns. Next is the democratic process. As I said, the bill was passed with virtually no debate, prompting criticism over the parliamentary norms. Finance Minister Sitaraman herself remarked on the absence of opposition demand. See, if the opposition is not involving the debates, what can the ruling party do? They wanted this to be debate boards, they wanted this to be based on the democratic parliamentary debates and discussions. However, if the opposition party is not indulging in the debates, even the ruling government cannot do anything with this aspect. Next is implementation gaps. That is, transition challenges for stakeholders such as AIFMs, trainings, public awareness, and digital infrastructures remain to be addressed. These have not been addressed in this particular main act. So we have to wait and see if the next amendments or if next improvements in the bills will address these issues. So these are some of the top points which I want to discuss with respect to new income tax bill, which is a very important and significant bill. So that is why I decided to discuss about this bill. So this ends the discussion for the day. If you like the video, then please hit the like button, comment on it, and also share with your friends. And if you are new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel and click on the bell icon so that you don't miss any notification. With this, I will end the video. Jai Hind, Jai Karnataka.